Jalen, my man, it is an honor to have you. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate y'all having me on.
Man, absolutely. It is literally our pleasure, man. Listen, let's just start off with a couple icebreakers, Jalen. We saw a tweet asking about game systems. If you had to
Okay.
pick only one game system, which one you picking?
If I had to pick one game system, damn, PlayStation 5.
Same.
Yeah.
I get some
It's
heat though. I got a 17-year-old. He tells me Xbox the only way to go, but I don't. I
no.
mean, I don't dig it.
He's misguided. He's misguided.
He is. I blame his mama. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So look, if you're you also do this, you co-host or host, however you want to say, the
Mhm.
Raw Room, another podcast. Everybody should
Absolutely.
check it out. I was checking it out today on some windshield time. If you could have any guest on the Raw Room, who would it be?
Any guest? Ooh, that's tough because we do got a list with like some of our tops. Damn, it's so many good ones. I think like one of our top ones that we wanted was like Mike Tyson. We wanted to get Tyson on for sure.
That would be Raw.
This probably like a new addition, but Dion, I want to get him on there.
Prime.
We would love that. Dang man, we always in the sports, but trying to do different stuff. It would be kind of cool to have like an actor or somebody like that on there. Some big actor.
You know who you should get? Because I've been watching the new season of Godfather of Harlem, man. You ought to get Forrest Whitaker. I mean,
Forrest Whitaker. Okay, say
you
less. We
seen
going.
Godfather of Harlem?
I haven't seen it.
It's
I'm gonna check it. What's it on? What's it on?
it's Hulu.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out.
Gangster. Bumpy
Man,
Johnson.
Forrest Whitaker's still
Gangsters.
doing his thing, man. He old now, ain't he?
I'm
He
I'm sure he's still out there holding it down.
Yeah, he still looks the same, if you know what I'm saying. But Jalen, celebrity crush growing up, who is
Oh damn. Celebrity crush growing up. Uh shit. Alicia Keys,
yeah.
um, Sierra. That was back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Damn. Another one probably like Megan Good.
Oh, yes,
That one's right there. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful
absolutely.
women.
Had Megan Good a few
Beautiful.
times on
He said what?
here. We've had that answer, Megan Good, a few
I
times.
actually think it was me who said Megan Good.
I'm dead. I'm dead. I mean, look, you can't deny it, man. It is what it is.
No, not at all, man.
So, last question before I hand you over to DB. Favorite athlete of all time?
Favorite athlete? Oh, that's an easy one. Vic, man. Yeah, watching him
Cheat
playing
code.
Madden, bro, cheat code, and then just being in Atlanta for a little bit and seeing him around the city and at the games and stuff, bro. Really cool guy, man. For real, for real.
Yeah,
Vic is
as a
definitely.
Saints fan, man, giving me nightmares.
Oh yeah, exactly,
He's
exactly.
he's the
He was tough
reason
like
he's the reason they started giving grades on Madden.
yeah.
One player.
No, yeah, because he he was broken in that Madden, bro. What was like 2013 or 12 or something like that. He was broken in those
That in
games.
the college football, everybody picked Virginia Tech just to get him.
Oh
They
yeah,
didn't know a single other player on that team, but you just took Vic.
exactly. No,
Still
yeah,
can't name another player on that team.
yeah. Vic's the truth, man.
Yeah. So Jalen, let's talk about you growing up, man, when you were a
Okay.
young guy. Tell us a little bit about where you're from.
So I grew up here in Mississippi, but I was actually born in Kansas City, Missouri. My dad lives out there, and a bunch of his family's from St. Louis, or not. I'm sorry, not from Nashville, but we used to always like go through St. Louis and stuff like that, traveling. But um, just growing up in Kansas City, we was out there for probably till I was about 5. Then I moved out here. I remember it kind of a little bit. I used to go back every summer, but shoot, moved out here when I was 5. My grandma owned a Harley Davidson store in Horn Lake.
No?
So
Okay.
so that's why we moved out here and run around DeSoto County, South Haven. Was at DeSoto Central for a really long time. But before I ended up there, I went to SBC for a little bit. I think it was
So
like a semester and a half or something like that.
so before we
What?
before we get too far along.
Yeah, my man.
Yeah, you
I
got
started
you
wrong.
got 3 siblings, right?
Yeah.
You got
Two
brother
older
and
brothers,
sister.
and younger brother. I got 2 older brothers and younger brother.
Oh man, y'all fighting? I know y'all are.
Oh yeah, it was hectic in there for sure. 4 boys in the house.
Did you hold your own? Was you delivering the whoopings or
Well, so it wasn't so much as like fighting. I guess maybe more so me and my younger brother, because we're actually close. My 2 older brothers, 10 years older than me, and then 5. So it was a little bit of gap. They did kind of pick on us a little bit, but me and my little brother, we definitely did butt heads. I wouldn't say we fought a whole lot, but we was definitely at each other's throats for real, for real.
I'm sure the competitiveness was heated. I mean,
Oh,
obviously,
all the time, all the time. Anything that I did, he had to do. Like any sport, anything we order, we go out to eat. He's ordering the same thing at McDonald's. It's just like I guess he wanted to be like me. You know what I'm saying?
of course, of course. You getting a Big Mac, he getting a Big Mac, man.
I'm trying to tell you.
So obviously, you have this competitive, nature already built in just because you're around brothers all day and boys are going to be boys. But at what point did you start playing sports, and at what age did you start, playing football?
Mm. Okay, so I think sports was around the time we moved to South Haven off Getwell. Of course, as kids, you're always running around doing stuff. But I wouldn't say I really started playing sports until I got over there. I moved to Deer Trace. And it was, just at the time, it wasn't a whole lot of people there. But as like kids moved in, we were all just end up, you're playing basketball in the street, playing baseball in the empty lot, football in my backyard. Like anything that we could do outside. I mean, that's really what we started doing. But sports then, it started for me then, and then I guess organized ball I didn't start playing until I was, I guess like middle school when they start. What's was this like 6th, 7th grade or something like that?
Yeah. Hey, Daniel, I got to
Yeah.
intervene for a second. Hey, Randy, you remember that time I had you help me move and you were pretty pissed off about it?
It was hot as hell.
It was Deer Chase. I moved into Deer Chase when you helped me move. Right
Yeah.
where he's talking about. We lived in the same hood.
Hot as hell.
Dang. Small world, man. So
Right.
you mentioned, DeSoto Central.
Mhm.
I'm assuming you started your high school career at DeSoto Central, right?
Yes, yes. I went there from, I want to say probably like 3rd grade up until 11th grade.
Dang, so you was a vet there. You packed
Nah,
it.
yeah. My older brother, Brandon, was in the first graduating class from DeSoto Central in '06. So we was there when it was only one building.
I wasn't
Yeah.
even aware it hadn't been around that long. I didn't know it didn't open until 06.
Yeah, no, it's well, it opened.
Well, I guess it opened to
Uh,
02. I get what you're saying, but yeah.
yeah, my brother was in 8th grade when it opened. So or something like that. He was probably 8th grade, I believe.
You got a lot of, obviously you garner a lot of attention for football, but back in the day, man, you could run track a little bit. You could do them
Oh,
hurdles.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's crazy because I only ran track for 2 years. I guess you could say really only 2 years. My older brother Brandon graduated in the first class. He was the reason I got into track. I mean, of course, as a kid, you run around playing sports, and everybody wants to be the fastest kid, so we always racing, whatever. But just as I was growing up, it was probably his senior year. We was just going around, and he was on the track team. We ran the 300 hurdles. I think he did like the long jump, triple jump. And so just like going to and having to sit at the track meets in Tupelo and all the cities around here, like you can't really do anything if you're a young kid. You can't go running off, so you gotta just watch. You gotta watch the track, and you gotta sit there with your moms. So just like watching the races and stuff, and I kind of got a watching him run the hurdles. I kind of got a knack for it, and I guess I went out 8th grade.
let's be honest. You sat there and you watched some fools, and you was like, "I'm better than that right now."
Bro,
So let me get out there and do it.
I was like, that don't look hard. And I'll go out to the track team, and they have us like, 8th grade, they have the guys out there to see what we can do. And I won the hurdles. I was like, damn, y'all can't do this? What's going on?
And you say that, but like I feel like the hurdles have to be one of the hardest events that you can do. Like what is
absolutely.
difficult? Like you probably made it look effortlessly, but like it's so fast and the timing and the jump and like catching yourself in stride, man. Like,
well, Daniel, if you remember the first time we had a hurdler on here, they taught us like I kept saying jump and hurdles, and they're like, you don't jump, you run.
You're running over the hurdle. You're not jumping. Yeah, no, it's hurdles is definitely hard. Like I didn't realize it when I first started watching my brother. I was like, oh, I could do that, and I was good in 8th grade. But then when I got to my junior year, that's when I really got into it, and I started. I watched some videos on YouTube, and just tried to like get the steps down and see like what some of the faster times were, because I knew I was one of the better kids in the whole county, and I had really was self-taught. Like I was like, shit, I watched my brother do it, so you just do this and do this, and then once I started studying it, the few steps and then 3 steps in between, you should be going over with the same leg. You're really like trying to touch your toe when you go over it's just a whole bunch of different stuff that I didn't really know, but I picked up on it, and I actually ended up getting second in state that year, and it was crazy because I was the only junior in the race.
Who beat you?
I can't remember. I think it was like a black and gold. I don't remember the kid name. I think the colors was like black and like gold or something like that.
That means he ain't losing sleep about it, Randy. He ain't worried about it.
Yeah, ain't worried about black and gold.
Look, see, the crazy thing is I lost. I was the only junior in the race, and I hit every hurdle until the last one. So I was like, I only lost by a little bit. If I didn't touch any of these hurdles, I would have smoked these kids. I literally hit every single one. I was pissed.
I think that's what is the hardest thing about it, is that you have to be perfect. Like in track in general, you have to be perfect. But in an event like hurdles, like there's no room for error.
None at all. I mean, I've had a few races where, I hit 1 or 2 and I'm like, oh shit, this kid's about to catch me. Like he might beat me, like real close finish type. So like to hit every one, bro, that was probably my worst race all year, and I got second.
So let's fast forward a little bit. So you spend 3 years at DeSoto Central, and then you go, you know what? I got to switch it up. I'm going to go to Olive Branch. So like, what was the reason for the switch? You just you done everything you needed to do at DC, and you just said, I got to move. I got to go.
So like you start playing football, and the dream, of course, is to make it to the highest level. As a kid, you don't really have like a game. Well, back then, I'll say. Now it's probably a little different. But back then, it was just like, oh, I just got a dream. I'm gonna go out here, play, see what happens. But once I got to the end of my junior year at DC, that spring I went to a few junior days with my buddy Josh Gaston. He actually let me ride down there to LSU to the junior day. I've been to one at Mississippi State, I think Ole Miss. But I went down there, and the coaches were like talking to me. The DB coach was like, he was like, damn, we got to get you to the camp. You know what I'm saying? You look good. Like I may never, whatever. I was like, look, I like football. He said LSU. That sound like a good school. Let me pull up, see what happened. And so they got me back to the camps that summer. But I guess what happened in the middle of me going to the camps and then switching schools that offseason or that spring and summer, DC had a coach change there. Coach Purnell was a coach there for a really long time. Football program wasn't great by any means, but like it was like we had a little family, little unit, like we had something we were going, and they changed coaches at the end of the season. They got rid of Coach Purnell, and then they brought in Coach Wallace. And Coach Wallace came from Center Hill, and Center Hill was one of the newer schools. And we used to mop the floor with them, and we sucked, respectfully. We sucked. And we used to mop the floor with them. Respectfully. Like, we used to go over there, play spring games and all that stuff because they weren't in our conference. We used to go beat them by like 30, and we sucked for real. And so he came over, and I had already started doing the junior day LSU stuff.
Let's be real. You wasn't trying to suck your senior year.
Oh, no.
That's you weren't trying to go.
I was not trying to suck, but he came in. I was like, all right, let me give it a chance. We lost the spring game to Center Hill by 2 points. It was 14-12. I'll never forget. I was like, bro, this is the worst football team I have ever played on, and I've only played on shitty football teams.
So when did the rule change? Because Daniel, when we were in high school, you couldn't just transfer in district season to season.
I remember that.
Bro, that was 20 years ago.
That's why I said when did it? Don't act like Jalen a little bit older too. Jalen ain't some young cat.
No, yeah, that's what I said. I do remember when it was like a issue, switching schools and switching inside the county, because I know a lot of people before would go, instead of going in county, they would just go across the state line to like some school in Memphis or something like that. So I think it was probably a little bit before I was a senior in high school. But yeah, we lost that spring game, and I was like, no, I gotta get out of here.
You should have transferred your sophomore year and joined KJ Wright over there at OB. That's what I'm saying.
And the crazy part is my sophomore year, we played Olive Branch at home, and I was playing in that game.
Was he just everything that he, you would expect him to be, and he became?
At the time, I didn't even know. I just knew Olive Branch had all these people, and they was gonna whoop our ass every time we got on the field. I knew that for a fact, because we just didn't we had some good athletes, but we didn't have the coaching. We was just having fun for real. Olive Branch was an actual team.
I can feel you. On that, man.
And I'll tell you what, when I met Jalen this year at the DC Olive Branch game, DC fooled me. They gave me a little fool's goal. It was tied up at 21, made me think it was going to be a close game. And then next thing you know, I look up and it was like 42-21. It was close for a minute.
Versus OB?
Yeah, that last year's game when I met you.
Right. Yeah, no, that game was close for real. I was like, halftime, I was like, dang, OB, y'all better come on. And then so, my little cousin DJ was on the team, and I was like, okay, DJ, y'all out there doing y'all thing. Y'all keep balling. So it was crazy at halftime. But then at the end of the game, I wasn't expecting to pull away like that. I was like, damn, y'all actually, it was a close game. What happened?
They let their guard down, man. That's what happened.
Nah, for real. They had the receiver they had. He couldn't be stopped that game. I ain't gonna lie. I want to say he had 4 deep balls.
Man, what he cut down that sideline right. I think you were over there by me. He cut down that sideline. Man, gone.
No, yeah. He had a pretty good game. A pretty good second half.
You was thinking, man, I'd lock his ass up. I was out there.
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
So, Jalen, you were a blue chip defensive back from Mississippi. ESPN.com said that you had a high upside and great height, range, skills to play cornerback at the college level. You were a 4-star prospect by Rivals.com. You were named Mississippi 6A First Team All-State. You were named to the First Team All-State by the Clarion Ledger, selected to play in the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star Classic. You had 45 tackles, 3 interceptions, 2 blocked field goals. So obviously it was a good move going to Olive Branch, but how good were you guys when you were at Olive Branch that season?
Oh, well, I would say we was one of the best teams. I would say we was, as far as talent wise, we was the second best team in the state, because South Panola, the talent level that they had, the pool of talent that they had to pick from, and just how the guys look out there. It is, bro, I ain't never in my life seen nothing like that. I literally thought we was playing a team of grown men every time I seen them. in any facet. Like I'm watching them, I'm playing against them, like from middle school on up. It was like, bro, are they drinking like Monster juice every time they come out here? Like, what's going on?
We was
Man?
just
Like,
talking to Jet Johnson from Mississippi State, who went to Tupelo, and he got fortunate that he said it was about the end of their reign when
oh
he
my
was going,
God.
because he said before that was when you were dealing with them and they just weren't stoppable.
No, yeah. So that team we had at Olive Branch, definitely one of the better teams that I've seen, you know, come out of this area. Just like the amount of the players that we had going to play in college and stuff like that. Memphis or, I think it was Torrey went to Tabor for a little bit, was playing, but we had so many people go different places. Todd ended up at I think it was Oklahoma State or something like that. I mean, we had so much talent on that team, and it's crazy. The crazy part is a lot of those guys were in the younger classes. For real, we had, like I think it was like 5 of us from my class. But a lot of those guys were actually younger guys that was, really talented like that.
So obviously, college is on the radar at this point. You talk about the camps, but how did you inevitably get to LSU? And like, what was there one thing that made you go, yeah, I'm going there? That's the place for me.
I like answering this question now, but like, so I didn't really have no other option. I didn't have no other options.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
Just
it's wild
knowing,
to say it.
just knowing the defensive backs that come out of LSU, and you say you went there and you were great there, but say you didn't have any other options. That is unbelievable.
So it's like I didn't have any other D1 offers, like for real. I didn't have any other ones. I had probably my junior year, I want to say at the beginning of it, at the beginning of my junior year, I was probably like maybe like 2, or it was like Penn University.
Yeah.
And then some other like D3 school out of Mississippi. Those were the only schools that like had sent me a letter or was looking at me, anything like that. And then so going into my senior year, I had committed to LSU, but I had been to Mississippi State's like 7-on-7 camp, 3. I want to say from my sophomore year into my senior year, I went to the little 7-on-7 camp. We went to one at Ole Miss. Went to junior day at Mississippi State. Like, went to camp out at Memphis the day, like 2 days before I went to the LSU camp, the first one I went to. And so like I don't really know how, I ended up at the LSU camp. I go through the camp, they like, damn, we want you to come back when we have all our, commits coming. Like all the commit, they have, I think it was at that time, I think it was 3 camps or maybe two camps during the summer. An early one and then a late one when all the commits come to, and that's where so it was like I went to the early one, it was like, come back. I was like, all right, cool, we're gonna see what happens. I went to the second camp, and then after that went up to the office with Sherman Morris. He worked out at Memphis, I think now. But he was, kind of helping me and my mom out through that little whole process. We didn't know what it was. My mom didn't know nothing. I just knew I wanted to play football. But he was helping us out, took us up there. Next thing I know, I had an offer, and I was like, all right, cool. I think it was probably like 2-3 weeks later. I was like, all right, well, shit, I'm gonna commit.
I mean, Daniel, that's the very essence. Jalen. My daughter wanted to go to LSU for soccer, and the thing was, like, she's never going to get seen up here in North Mississippi. So we went down to the camps and everything, and I told her, I was like, you got to kill these camps. And unfortunately, the talent level of the girls, man, they came from Florida, Texas, Virginia, whatever.
Right.
She found out speed kills real quick. But, I told her to the point of you getting seen there, you got to go there and you got to put on a show. And so for you, that just shows what you did there. It's definitely a unique story, because usually, every guy we have come on that that says something like that, they say they end up going to junior college because nobody really offered them. And then next thing you know, we've had guys, big time colleges or even pro start
Right.
to go, you got the big dog was the only one. So it's kind of wild. But you get there in 2011, to a fully loaded team. So, clearly, when you say red shirt, but then you look at who was on that roster, it's like, all right, yeah, I can see why he would have to redshirt when he got there.
Right.
But man, when we talk to guys about redshirting, it's amazing what they tell us because you get a chance to get acclimated to the program and learn everything and be a part of it. But you don't waste your year of eligibility, and so you get to really learn a lot of stuff. Talk to the upperclassmen, watch them play, get in the weight room, nutrition.
Right.
So talk about that redshirt season, especially because that team made a national championship run. What all you got to take in that season?
Right. So I guess I hadn't really thought about that. I guess in that way, how you put it. But honestly, I feel like for some people, going into college, whether it be like they're not necessarily ready, I guess, as far as knowledge of the game. They might have the mentality, the physical ability, and all that stuff, but they might not just be all there mentally knowing what to do on this and how to, fit into a defense and stuff like that. And then just other situations where you have, like mine, where I have, 8 guys in front of me that there's no way I'm just gonna come in and unless I'm that good, and there's just no way. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're just that guy, you're gonna have to, fight through those struggles of sitting on the sideline or being the scout team for the ones, going up against Ruben Randall every day, him cooking me up and down the sideline. You think he's a tall, big, slow dude. He was so smooth and fast up the sideline running his routes. Bro, that was one of the best years of learning, because it's going against these top athletes, to jump from the skill level from high school to college. It's okay. On high school, I might have somebody that's, right there with me, close, whatever. But in college, the people that have been there and then the guys that's coming in with me, they all right here neck and neck, if not, 2-3 years ahead. So it's every day I'm out here fighting for my life. And I, what I'm saying? I got cooked a lot my freshman year in college.
Hey,
I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Maurice Hampton came on here and talked about how his first day of practice he had to guard Jamar Chase. So I feel you,
bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Out there with dudes, Odell, Jarvis out there, just the dudes from my class. People from Louisiana know Paul Turner. That's a big name from West Monroe. Paul was a quarterback in high school, played receiver, but just there was so many different guys. Russell Shepard, you know what I'm saying? All these guys we had to go against all year, every day, the best of the best. It was really, I guess for me, it was really helpful. Just this skill level as a whole. Well, having to go every play. In Mississippi high school is hard because every team doesn't have that guy in every position. They might have, one guy on this side of the ball. He might not be a receiver or whatever it is. So it's I didn't see a whole lot of those guys when I was coming through school. I want to say the 2 guys that I know that gave me trouble my freshman year of high school, Chad Bumpus, cooked me. And then my senior year, it was Nick Brazel. So those are really the only guys. But going into college is literally every day, every dude I like. So it was good redshirt year for me. Get to see everything. I was one of the guys that I got to travel a little bit more than the other guys, just because I was kind of on that I guess the edge or whatever. I was one of those guys that we might throw him in there. You know what I'm saying? Might take him off his red shirt. I want to say the Auburn game my freshman year. It was they ended up scoring. And we were way down there and some substitution, something happened. And they didn't have a corner out there. And I was standing by the coach. It was me and Dwayne Thomas. No, wait. Was it Dwayne? I want to say it was. Nah, that wasn't Dwayne. It might have been. It might have been Ronald Martin. But they threw somebody out there, and I was so close. I remember it. I was so close to being out there and burning my red shirt for a field goal block. Like I
But
would have
if you would have blocked that field goal, it would have been worth it.
Oh, it would have been great. But come on now, a freshman college, they like, oh, get out there, throw him at.
Well, that's the beauty of the rule now is you got the 4 games. So like, I mean, if you would have went out there, it wouldn't have ruined it. You know, you talk about all these guys. If you were to say one guy who you were able to learn the most from, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, obviously, because that's where you are. You know, what upperclassmen were you able to learn from the most?
Upperclassmen I was able to learn from the most. I would probably have to say Thurl Simon, just while I was there, because he was taller than me. He's probably like 6'3", 6'4" ish. But so he was the only other like real tall, long body corner that we had on the team. He was a upperclassman, so just a year above me. But just being able to watch him, because we kind of had to go through the same thing. Like everything back then was all like you got to be really low and you got to be, you know what I'm saying, tight, use your hands and stuff. And so it was a challenge for us because we're trying to learn this technique, but we're, 6'2", 6'3", really long guys. I mean, I didn't really press in high school. So that was kind of a challenge, but definitely, watching him and, being close with him and T, they was always together for real. So just kind of like, ear hustling off them or just watching tape and seeing, what he's doing and how he's, attacking receivers and things like that. That was a big help for me.
Yeah, no doubt. So, getting into your redshirt freshman season, you guys went 10-3. You appeared in all 13 games. The game you made your mark was in a win against Texas A&M, which has a whole new essence. But when I wrote this rundown, it's now taken a whole different feel because I watched LSU on Twitter lose their mind about the Johnny Manziel documentary because they conveniently left when they played LSU off.
Yeah, they skipped over that. Skipped over that.
So let's talk about it since they don't want to talk about it. Y'all go into Kyle Field. You
Right.
even pick off Johnny Football and you get
the first one.
So, man, talk to me about that game if you remember.
Right. No, that game was crazy because that was like you said, my first actual like start. Because that year I wasn't starting, but in the nickel package I would come in the game and they play outside and they would bump T down. So or damn, was that bump him down. So I played a lot early on that game and just like kind of getting the speed of how their offense ran was completely different for us. I remember at the end of that game, they said we had like close to 80 plays or something like that on defense, like 70 plus plays on defense. And like when we heard that, it was like 70 plays? Are you serious? Like back then, that was a lot of plays on the defense. But so it was a different atmosphere. They have the what do they call them? Because I don't want to call them male cheerleaders. They're gonna get their feelings hurt. They're gonna get their feelings hurt. What is it?
Man, I don't know. I actually seen them being trolled today. I forgot what they're called. But yeah, y'all went in there with they had the male man, all that.
Right.
Hey, I hear it's. Look, I've never been there. I hear it's very cult-like down there, like the way they chant.
It was a different atmosphere. They did get into it. Everybody in the stands was like, it was a nice, loud atmosphere. It was like a SEC type atmosphere that I felt. The little spirit squad or whatever it is, it was cool. But the game was just, I guess it was really highlighted because their offense was like, run and gun. They're going to throw the ball 1,000 times and this and that. And they putting up all these points. And, Johnny Football, he's been so spectacular up until that game. And so they hadn't seen a defense like ours until we pulled up, and I want to say our D line like fucked Johnny over because the first half it was kind of like we still trying to figure out what's going on, and then towards the end of the first half, we was kind of like battling each other out, trying to figure out. The coach was trying to figure out, how we need to attack this and that. At the end of that first half, they started letting the D line go, and it started messing up their whole offensive plan because they couldn't keep up with the speed. They had Sam Montgomery, Mingo out there, Benny Logan, like all these guys was killing it down there. And so like at the end of that first half, he just threw a ball up. He didn't even he threw the ball up. And I caught that first pick. I was the first person to pick him off in college. And so after that, because they was all talking about his touchdowns, no interceptions, blah blah blah, and we ended up picking him off twice that game. I want to say Thero had to pick at the end of the game to end it off, but I mean they had a good team, but they just couldn't keep up with the speed, man. For real.
Jalen, let me ask you a question, man.
Yeah.
So he was known for letting defenses hear about it. Did y'all let him hear about it?
Oh, I mean, we was definitely like a talking defense, but like I guess for me being the young guy out there, like I was one of the guys with the fresh feet out there. I wasn't doing a whole lot of talking. I was just out there trying to do my job. But I know for a fact that the rest of them boys, I know Thero was talking. The D line, I know they was in his ear the whole time, and he didn't have opportunity to talk no shit against us because we were smacking him in the mouth.
Yeah, and no, it wasn't even just that year either. That was the other thing. Like I said, it was burning on Twitter. He got on both years,
right?
Right. So yeah, LSU had his number, but I mean that just shows our defense that we had those years. Obviously, you were a part of. Like, I mean, it really, and it's not to knock, but our offense struggled a little bit in those years, but it was never about defense. The defense was always top.
No, we was always gonna handle business. Sometimes we would go out there and be like, all right, let's see what these boys got. Come on now, offense, let's go. Sometimes they'll come out strong. Sometimes it might come out flat. It might be a rough day, but we was definitely defense. We was always gonna cheer them on. We was always gonna handle our business for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And with that, I want to go ahead and skip ahead to your junior year to 2014 because the 8-5 record just doesn't deflect what you guys did. You had the number one ranked defense in the SEC, and then the number one ranked pass defense. This stat is gaudy, boys. They only allowed 164 pass yards per game. The secondary, we talk about DBU. It was you, Tre'Davious White, Jalen Mills, and Jamal Adams. So all NFL players, man. Just talk to me about. Obviously, we talk about just being at LSU and all the studs, but in that particular season, when you look at the four of y'all in the secondary, and what y'all would go on to be and what y'all were then, like, just how awesome was it to play with that core of guys?
No, it was really fun for me. Because those were, some of my younger guys. So I get to see them grow, but also just being able to, have that, chemistry on the field and have that carryover into games where we know, like, we got each other's back. We gonna lay it down, whatever we got to do. If I got to go here, if I got to play on the other side, like if we gotta, pick up for my guy, we know he's got to miss, like whatever it was. We was down to do it. We was doing extra work. I mean, off season, I had on the chain gang shirt. They don't even do the chain gang shirts at LSU anymore because it was like something you earn every week if you help move the chains on defense, offense, special team. But it's a black shirt to say chain gang's got a chain. But so they stopped doing it because all the people that get in trouble had on the chain gang shirts anyways.
Got to be politically correct now,
Right. But so like we used to wear those like in the summer workouts, the offense, they'll go and they'll have their colors on. We used to come into summer workouts and I'm sure they still do it. And the summer workouts when we're not with the coaches and stuff like that, we come out there, we work out all black and it's just like, it's not an option. We don't care. Like you ain't got to go do no study hall, no this and that. Everybody is coming and we not missing these workouts. And those were really the only workouts that we used to do as a group, like the DBs, no line, like it was strictly DBs. We used to have RC used to come back every now and then. Ryan Clark, Corey Webster was there a lot of the times, and then some of the older guys that had left would come back. But just having those, that year round, camaraderie with those guys, and being able to just fight all year round and be there for each other, it definitely helped us out on the field, and that's a big testament to how we got to be that defense that we were that year.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about practice and going against guys. I am curious, what's it like tackling Leonard Fournette?
So back then, bro, I know everybody remembers the Under Armour game where he committed and people were saying he looked like he was 30 and stuff like that. That's a real life bro, man. Y'all seen what he's been developed into, and even when he came into LSU, it was not he's like, bro, it was dead ass like hitting a linebacker for real. Like I ain't never seen a freshman in college that could move like that, was as fast as he was. But like when you look at him, you think, oh, that's a power back right there. And he was every 100% a power back, but he was so fast. It was outrageous. Tackling that man was not fun. I will say that.
He did look 30 though.
No, exactly. He did look 30. It's crazy. Like he looked younger now.
Yeah, agreed.
Like he looked younger now. What's going on?
I was gonna say that he still looks the same age, exactly the same as he did.
Right, like
he ain't look like Greg Oden or nothing. He didn't look 55.
Right. No, he definitely looked old for real. But no, that's man right there for sure.
So, with that, at the end of that season, you decided to forego your senior year and enter the draft, man. How hard of a decision was that to make?
It was a really tough decision. One, because I loved being at LSU. It's a great place, great people, just like a great city outside of football. But then when it comes to football, I mean, it's really, really second to none, man. The people that you get connected with and the things that you can learn, the facilities that they have, the way they take care of the guys. I mean, it's really unmatched. And then just like for the recent players, how we I guess the standard that we hold ourselves to, and the younger guys, we expect them to hold that up. So we expect nothing but the best, and we gonna expect that for as long as we here, we gonna expect LSU to be the top. So that's just what it is.
Yeah, no doubt. So I was asked to ask you this question in light of the things that happened this week at LSU. We need somebody who's been there before to explain that it's not a big deal. People, especially with social media now, like to make things so much bigger of a deal. It is, Malik Neighbors and Harold Perkins get into it, and then it ends up being a whole big scuffle at practice. From you as a previous player, explain, how things like that happen. And it is what it is. Like LSU's chemistry isn't blown up. There isn't like disgruntled team. Like it's football, and this is going to happen.
Right. Yeah, no, the crazy thing, because I did see that, I did want to say probably earlier today. I saw that, and I'm like, I mean, this is football we're talking about, and camp, nonetheless, like, this is literally the grittiest, nastiest time of the football year, and you only get to hit your teammates for a month plus. Like, of course, at some point, it's going to be a fight between the D linemen, the running backs and the linebackers, you know what I'm saying? The receivers and the DBs, they might fight every day. Like when I was there, I've seen so many. I got into fights with some of the DBs. Like everybody's fighting, like, and it's nothing over the top. Like we didn't have any of that. It wasn't anything.
I mean, when you come back out there next day, you probably wouldn't even think about it.
Right. Like, and if you are, you really in the wrong place, in the wrong mind, you're not even worried about football. But so like I've seen fights every day. Like all the names that went through LSU, I've seen every single one of those guys fight at practice. Every single one of them. You can't name you can't name a DB that was drafted in the past 10 years that didn't fight at practice. Not one.
And you should.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's as a team, if we are, I guess, if we are, getting on each other's nerves that much, if we battling it out that much, at some point, I'm going to expect to be, I done had enough with this dude. You know what I'm saying? At some point, it's going to be, all right, I got to show him what's up. Like, y'all really playing with me right now.
And you got 4 brothers. It ain't like you weren't used to that.
Exactly. So it's like, that's going to happen on a football team, especially in camp. When it happens, you let them fight. If you know what I'm saying, if however the coach wants to handle it, you let them fight. Boom, they get out there, go back to practice. So you let them fight, get them out the drill, go make them sit down for whatever. But after that, it's over with. We a team. Like, okay, if you gonna, let it have you in a bad mood for whatever. The next day, that's gone for real. We got other.
I mean, you said it best. You're hitting the same dudes over and over again. It's bound to happen. But it was just funny how they tried to make a story about it, and it's reaching, and that's why I wanted you to speak to it.
It's definitely reaching, and it's crazy. Like, sometimes in the off season, they come up with these wild stories just because they don't have anything to talk about. Right. So it's like, I mean, I'm glad the boys out there fighting. Get it out now. So y'all could be like, all right, cool. All right, we didn't beat each other's ass all these past 2-3 months, and now let's go dog everybody else.
Yeah, no doubt. So my last question, I'll let Randy talk, everything professional, with this LSU team that's coming up this season, man. I was just talking about neighbors, Perkins, who, man, I remember last year I said I didn't think anybody would wear 40 and play the linebacker position like Devin White, and who may be better. It's early to say that, but the way he did last year. And so and you look, man, defense is stacked. You got Jaden Daniels and the weapons you do, the running back stable as normal, what you expect at LSU. Like, this team, like, there are people around the country legit expecting this team to make the college football playoffs. So for you, who understands the game, knows the talent level, man, what are your expectations for LSU this year?
And like I said earlier, the expectations for LSU, we always have the expectations that our team is going to do great. We have the expectations that we're going to make the playoff every year. We can make the playoff every year. Now, like you said, this team that we have this year, we got a really good chance. I felt like the team last year, I feel like they had a really good offense. I feel like they had a really good chance. We hate to see that, Booty didn't really get the season that we thought he was going to have. But nonetheless, like, I know that team has developed, around 5, and we actually believe in him for real. Like, he came out and he, proved a lot of people wrong, because early on they didn't think that he could get it done and this and that. Man, he's cool as a whistle back there in that pocket. He was handling business, and I'm definitely excited to see them boys show out this year for sure.
Jalen, let's get into it, man. You said that you forego your senior season at LSU. Yeah. You get drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, 2nd round pick with the 42nd pick. You were expected to be a possible first rounder, and that was all the hype. Foot surgery and some other complications obviously held you back. But before we get deep into those complications, let's talk about what was draft day like for you, and where were you and who were you with?
Okay. Draft day, I was here in Olive Branch. The neighborhood I lived in, it was close to the state line over in Memphis, off of, what is it? I can't remember. It was over there close to Memphis, but we had a little community center in our neighborhood, and my mom threw a party there. We were there the first day. Big party, didn't get picked the first day. It was cool. And then the second day, we was all just kind of hanging out there. Me and my family, a bunch of my friends that I grew up with. We were all just kind of, there hanging out, having a nice little cookout, little barbecue. Everybody was having a good time. But it was a cool experience for real. I'm not gonna lie to you. Just having all the people there that have supported me for so long, even some of my friends that I met through like high school had nothing to do with sports. Just like, it was a great time to just be surrounded by family. I did get invited to go to the draft, But I didn't want to do that just because I guess leading up to it, guys go on visits. There's a combine, there's workouts and all this stuff. Mine was I had to go see. I think it was probably like 10. It was probably like 8 teams or something like that. So I was moving around on top of I was in Florida training, but I was based in Louisiana, but I went back home for a little bit, and then I had to go to North Carolina for surgery. And then after I did surgery, my rehab, I was doing all the visits and stuff like that. So at the draft time, I was cooked. I was just ready to chill and relax with my family and friends, and that's what we did.
Yeah, so you talked about it when you came out of high school. You really only had one D1 offer, and that was LSU. So
Right.
going to all these different teams and meeting them, was that like the first time you've been recruited? I mean, because you really are. They're interviewing you. Are they grilling you?
Right.
What's that process? What was that like for you mentally?
Well, so I guess at the team visits, it wasn't. I don't think they grilled us that much at the team visits. There was like some like classroom sessions where we got on the board and talked some defense and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say it was like a grilling. I want to say that did happen though, like at the combine. So that's where it was kind of like a little wheelhouse, and it was really trying to get into your head, see how you learn things, if you could this and that. But at the same time, being
It's a lot of money they about to put it to you.
Right. It's a lot of money, but at the same time, like being a elite athlete, like that, it wasn't anything too crazy, or I couldn't handle. I felt like a lot of the guys that went through it as well. I feel like a lot of the guys handled it well as too. Going through the questions and stuff like that. But it was definitely a little different. Like you said, my first time kind of like being recruited. I went to LSU. I went to I only went to one official visit, which was LSU. I ended up getting sick. I didn't really do anything. But so going to the NFL teams, the hotel, which is cool, and then they take you around, you show you all the facilities, you get to see like some money and stuff like this. They got the nice little cafeteria, the older locker rooms like this. They got, to see all the cool stuff. And so it was actually really nice getting to see the different places. It was definitely an experience for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. So you get drafted by Atlanta, played 2 years with the Falcons, account for 45 solo tackles, 48 combined tackles, 2 for loss, 2 interceptions. You talked about the transition from high school to the SEC and LSU being is how you might just have like a dude in high school on this side. LSU gets a little deeper. What's the transition like going from the SEC, which we all know is the king of college football, to the NFL, where everybody's a dog?
Right. The biggest difference, what changes from when you go to college to the NFL, I guess college, you like learning the game, get a little grasp of it. But then when you get to the NFL, you're really like learning football and you're playing football. Like it's crazy. Like I'm probably, hear other NFL guys say this, but like when you go from high school to college, the game gets so much faster. But then when you go from college to the NFL, the game slows down so much. Like just the little details and little things on how like not to waste steps, not to, do certain things that are going to put you out of position. Just like every little detail matters. So you just get to the point where literally how many steps you're going to take to do this, or what foot you need to use to like it gets so technical, doing a certain little steps, 500,000, you know what I'm saying? Like just doing it so many times to where it almost becomes effortless. And it's like people out watch and be like, what are they doing? This and that. They can't really see like the subtle nuances that change, but it's a lot slower because it's just so much more detail.
Yeah, no doubt. So you get to be a part of the Atlanta Falcons team that goes on the Super Bowl run in 2016. You start on the Falcons secondary throughout the playoffs. What's that experience like to be a part of a team that where you, I mean, significant part, you intercept Cam Newton, Drew Brees, have a team high 11 tackles in the Super Bowl, which we'll talk more about in a second. But what was that run like for you guys?
That run was really crazy. So in the beginning, in the season, I had to I did miss a few games, but when I got back, it was kind of like right at the beginning of when things started to ramp up for us. And then so everybody knows like in the NFL you can have an undefeated season or you could have a start out rough, and it doesn't really matter what happens in the beginning of the regular season. When it gets to the end, that end stretch from like November on, if you keep winning, then it really don't matter what the rest of it was. And so like that year, man, it was crazy to see because I kind of got thrown in there because I had been out those first few games, and Trufant get hurt. Trufant gets hurt. He went down. There was a Thursday night game. We were playing Tampa, and I went out there, and we end up winning that game, playing against Jamison. But from that time on, I mean, I've never seen a team like locked in like that, literally on every little thing that we had to do, coming together as brothers, watching film, Matt leading the team, Julio and the other leaders, just making sure that everybody's on their P's and Q's. We got to do everything. You need to be at the meetings. You got to eat when you need to, get your massages. Like, I've never seen anything like that before, but I can understand why we got so far and why we had the season that we did, just because it takes a lot to get, a locker room of guys on the same page, but like the whole organization, it felt like we was just like on like some like, crazy movie high type deal. Like we were all just, everything was clicking, running on all cylinders. I mean, the DBs, we would stay late, but everybody was staying late. The linebackers, the D line. I mean, it was hard for us to get out of that building. I know some of our coaches slept in their offices on cots because like that's just how much time we put into trying to be, that much better every week and trying to be the best team out there.
Yeah, so I talk about perspective a lot. I got 4 kids, Jalen, so perspective it matters, right? Obviously, that Super Bowl doesn't end the way you want it to, but have you had a chance to reflect on what it meant to be there? And you, team high, you're the leading tackler on that team in a Super Bowl against what's probably the greatest quarterback of all time.
Right.
I mean, have you had a chance to soak that in? It's been a minute now.
No, yeah. Of course, I've even since it happened, it's just like tough because we lost. But at the same time, like from the moment you start watching football, that's the only thing you want to do is go to the Super Bowl and win. Like if you have ever touched a football, played any game, like you like, oh, I want to go win the Super Bowl. So
some people just want to attend the Super Bowl, Jalen.
Right. Some people want to go, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just go.
Right. And so just like for me, that whole year was crazy because like my second year in the NFL, where, I guess we were the underdogs, right? We're underdog in the Super Bowl. But we're playing in the Super Bowl, and this is my second year in the NFL. And there are some people that are in the Hall of Fame, ain't never been to a Super Bowl. So it's like, it was really surreal. And it's still kind of like, damn, bro, we was out there, we had a shot. But
Jalen, y'all had more than a shot, dog.
I'll be honest with you.
Y'all was up 28-3.
Let me tell you why y'all really lost. Look, us Saints fans did a little voodoo because our only bragging right is that one Super Bowl over Atlanta. So we pulled out all stops, and that's that's kind of why it went sideways, man.
Y'all was hating, but nah, I mean, look, I still to this day am appreciative of like that moment and what it was for me, and it's just like, man, I've achieved something that a lot of football athletes will never achieve. Some probably have, longer, greater careers than I did, but that's literally the pinnacle of football, is getting to the Super Bowl and having a chance to win it. It would have been, great if I won it, but I'm like, I have a Super Bowl card. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I have
that's a small fraternity.
I have a Panini, like I want to say it's 5 of 5, a Super Bowl card. I'm like, and the crazy part is,
I ain't got one of those.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy because it's like on the picture, they took a picture from the NFC Championship game we played, the Green Bay. So, but it's like me celebrating with the strip, and I got the ball in my hand. So it's like, damn, I got a Super Bowl card. I'm winning it. Like, bro, I don't like, people will try to troll, and I'm like, man, y'all could go ahead and say what y'all want to say, but can't nothing take this away from
Randy.
me, so.
He said there's five of them out there. I bet you Anthony Renato, guest of this show that owns Cards and Culture in Baton Rouge, probably knows where all 5 are.
Right.
And look, better have one.
You know what? Look, I haven't even shown this anywhere. This hasn't even
exclusive to In Off the Bench.
This is it's dusty. Look at this.
Dope.
That's an NFC Championship ring right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't even, like, that's a little gift I got. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people that don't even get close to that.
No,
so
man.
It's like, man, we lost, but hey.
Hate if you want, but I'm still there.
You want, bro. I got a shot. We did.
All right, Jalen, let's get into it a little bit, man. So 2017, suspended 10 games for NFL's policy on performance-enhancing substances. I was going to go a different way with this question, but instead, I want to ask you this.
Okay.
I talked about perspective. Now I want to talk about timing.
Mm-hmm.
If that happens today, are you still in the league? Same thing. Same exact situation happens again. It's a timing thing.
Well, so the performance-enhancing thing, if that happened today, yeah, I probably would be. I mean, I don't know exactly how the rules have changed, but I know I want to say I was out in 2019 was my last year. So I know after that, they changed the policy. They changed the drug policies. And I want to say, and I know the numbers because I was in the program myself. When I was in, a positive test was like 36 nanograms of THC in your system was a failed test. But the year after, the cutoff was like 150 nanograms. And so I've been getting drug tested since I was a sophomore in college. I have not one day had over 100 nanograms to come up on the test. I've never had that happen. So when that number came out, I was like, damn, there's no way. That went 5 times the limit that they had. But I mean, yeah, it is what it is.
And I feel like the suspension was just itself is too long. Like, I mean,
right.
10 games is a lot. And I mean, let's call it what it is. I'm a Saints fan, right? Alvin Kamara beat the hell out of a dude, and he just got 3 games.
He jumped him with his homies.
Yeah. Right. No, yeah, but it's crazy how they view certain things, and the punishment varies from this to that.
No, agree. That's kind of where I was going with my question.
Right.
Not even on the performance enhancing, but just about the timing thing, right? If like you go through that exact same scenario again, maybe it turns out to be completely different. You talked about the nanograms of THC. They've obviously changed the drug testing situation. 2018, I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan, and I do feel sorry for me because we're kind of trash. But, obviously another suspension comes there, and I would imagine, I'm not saying it was, but maybe that's again the THC thing. If it's 150. Maybe you're in the secondary for the Colts. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you get to get reunited with Matty Ice a couple. No, we're talking different.
If it was timing, if the levels were what they are now, I would have never even been suspended. That my first year, I would have never missed that game. Like the season we went to the Super Bowl, I would have never missed any game. I honestly would have never had. Half of the suspensions I had wouldn't even be.
Randy, was y'all's quarterback Andrew Luck in 2018?
Oh yeah, and that was the best Colts team. That
agreed. since Peyton in like what, 06?
The best opportunity that they had to get back in the recent years. I got there. I mean, it was crazy because it was like I wasn't necessarily playing, but I got there with the team and just got to see it start clicking. And it was feeling the same way. And going into that game, I was like, man, there's no way. Like, granted, we are playing Pat Mahomes, and they did have Tyreek Hill out there. So they had, two of the most spectacular players in the league. But just like the feeling and the work that I knew that we put in and the confidence that we had in Andrew, we was just like, we know for sure we about to get out there. They're finna make this happen. Andrew and T.Y. was on a roll. And Mo was out there showing off. Vinny was out there booting that thing, man. We just knew for a fact because we believed in Andrew that much. Like, he gonna go down there and get us 6 points. And then if he don't, we got Vinny. Vinny gonna get us a smooth 3-pointer from, outside the arc. We gonna be good. And it was just like one of those games, man. We pulled in, and I remember this so vividly. The bus is coming up to the stadium, and that morning it started snowing. Well, I think it was like the day before it was kind of snow a little bit, but then that morning it started snowing for real, and then kind of towards game time. But when we were pulling up to the stadium, I'm looking out the window, and I, see the fans. They all talking noise. Some of them throw little snowballs. It was a few dudes flipped us off, and then this one dude mooned us, like going into the stadium, which was kind of funny, but it was just like a rough game, man. It got really cold, and I don't know. I ain't making excuses for nobody, but it was just a rough game. Vinny didn't have, his greatest game. He missed a few kicks. Andrew, I'm sure he wanted to make, more throws than he did and have, certain plays back. But I mean, man, it was a great experience, being out there and, having playoff runs like that. Like I'm blessed to see that. I know a lot of people don't.
Yeah, no doubt. That's kind of where I was going. It sounds like, obviously you sound like a pretty upbeat guy, but just going through what you went through with, the suspensions and all that and the setbacks. Talk about your mental health going through all that. And then, like, you talked earlier about RC coming back. I listen to RC's podcast. He's really big on mentor. You talked about coming back to LSU. Are you able to do that and kind of guide these young guys that are going through the similar things that you went through?
Yeah, I feel like it's, I guess it's a little different just because, like with some of the rule changes and a lot of things are different now, for the younger guys, but still, also always trying to, like, impart some knowledge and, excuse me, and get back to these guys because it's, it's not an easy thing to do, to get up there, to make it to the league, and you gotta, go through all these challenges. And that's why, like you said, the mental health thing is, one of the biggest things. So for me, like going through all the things that I did from, like pre-draft up until like my end of the time with the Colts, I had to go through a bunch of like different things just because of, the drug test situation and stuff like that. I actually had to go to like an outpatient rehab program in Charleston, South Carolina for a little bit. It was a tough process just because it's like, it's not really like I guess it's not really like talked about, you know what I'm saying? Like once you get in the program and stuff like that, you kind of like, you might be a player, but like you kind of like, let's get him out of the forefront type, you know what I'm saying? Like we're gonna take care of him over there. And so it was a different experience, just because like I was a new guy there. I started getting in trouble, and then so they kind of like tried to like, I guess kind of like, give me like a safe perimeter, you know what I'm saying? They try to not like, I had to go meet with like a therapist every week, and stuff like that. And they did some great things to help me. I guess that's a part of the reason why I feel like where I'm at right now is me going through some of those things and having to learn a lot about myself. Granted, the program has changed.
Right.
But so going through it was one thing, and then now on the other side of it, like seeing, the rules change and all this and that, and it's like, damn, so did I go through all of that for nothing?
Well, I heard you say it on the podcast on the Raw Room that you wouldn't say it was a dark place, but it was a weird place.
Yeah, it's a weird place just because like everybody smokes. You know what I'm saying? Like it's at the time when I was getting in trouble for it, it was legal in a bunch of certain places on different scales and stuff like that, but becoming more acceptable, and it just sucks that it had to take more time for it to get
more acceptable.
I guess widespread acceptability and stuff like that. But it's tough, but it's just like, man, I guess I was just born, a few years too early.
Look, I'm gonna say it, and you don't have to agree, Jalen, because you're doing your thing. But how ironic is it that Jim Irsay is the owner of the Colts, doing all the things he does,
right?
And they're suspending his the team that he owns, suspending players for weed when he's doing. It's well documented what he's doing, bro.
Bro, man. Don't get me started on Jim, dog.
I'll get it to where he don't have to do it. Randy, you was talking about pouring into the younger guys. I messaged Chad Jones today. Man, he spoke to the LSU football team. You want to talk about going through some dark days, man. Him having his career taken away. I can only imagine. Obviously he's changed his life and everything, but for a long time, I imagine he went through a real dark period.
Oh, absolutely. Having football taken away in that fashion, especially in the in the space he was in his career, he was one of the top players in the country. You know what I'm saying? About to be one of the
just got drafted by the Giants, yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Top players in the country, and just to have it taken away like that before you even get to go out there and taste the dream that you worked so hard for. I couldn't imagine that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get drafted, I get out there, and then I never get the chance to play. I couldn't imagine. I know Chad has come a long way, and I commend him for being as strong a person as he is, and using his story to try to help other people, and definitely being an inspiration and encouraging the kids that are coming up to cherish it and go for it, really, because you could really do anything you want to do, and then at the same time it doesn't matter what it is or where you are. Every snap could be your last snap, so it's tough.
I hear people say that, guys in your position, that say you can do what you want to do, but Jalen, that's not really true. There's a certain amount of guys that can do that. You're one of those guys, right? And that's what I mean when I talk about perspective. Guys that are gifted with this gift, if people that are religious, it's God-given talent, that's the people you want to be preaching to and pouring back into. Don't waste this, right? This is your window. And look, in the NFL especially, you got a 3 to 5 year window to maybe make it happen. Running backs is probably even shorter. Look at Jonathan Taylor now with the Colts, but Lord have mercy, don't get me started on that. But
Lord.
Before I turn you back over to Jim, we start talking about CFL. You bounced around a little bit in the XFL. I want to talk about hold up. Jim, you got to edit that out. Bounced around in the XFL. You played for a few different teams. Talk about those places, Los Angeles, Tampa, and Toronto. And I really want to know, what's it like living in Canada, man?
Oh, wow. So the XFL was a nice time. I feel like when it started in 20, it was better than this past year, but it was still a great experience, man. Not the NFL level structure, but the energy that we had at the games and practices and stuff like that. It was a definitely a great experience. I like the little rule changes. I didn't ever actually get to go to LA. I started out with LA on the supplemental draft. I went to the little like mini camp or whatever. And then at the end of it, I got traded to the Tampa team. So, but we did the little mini camp for the LA team. We did that in Vegas. Oh. So that was cool. I got to go to Vegas for, a few weeks. But the Tampa team, so we were so far out of Tampa in a place called Plant City. It was
just silly. You guys are set up for failure.
Yeah, he lives in Tampa, Jalen.
Okay. So that
city ain't. If you like strawberries, then you're all right.
That's it. The Strawberry Festival. That's the only thing people talk about. Man, it was so we stayed. I'm grateful for the experience, but I'm gonna give y'all a little background. We stayed in the I want to say it was like a Marriott off of one of the exits. Boom. So the only thing out there was the Marriott where we stayed. It was a Wendy's next door, and it was a gas station with a Subway. That was the only thing that we had out there, literally.
So you was eating fresh every day.
Bro, I was, how many 4-for-4s I ate, bro? I was living off of Wendy's. Like, we didn't have no cars because a lot of people was not from out there. Man, I used to go through the drive. I used to walk through the drive-thru, bro. I used to walk through the drive-thru, man. We was eating that every day for breakfast, for lunch, and bro, it was a rough time out there. But the football was fun, man. I loved it out there. As far as like the football and stuff like that, being out there playing with those guys, one of my teammates was actually one of the guys we beat, played quarterback at Wisconsin, Tanner McAvoy. I just remember that because we played a game together, and I remember when we went up there and beat their ass.
So on a CFL note, man, really, I didn't want to just get too much into it. I wanted to ask you about something, man. And obviously it's kind of a down subject, but man, the dude meant a lot to us. And I don't know how well you know him, but obviously you were with the Edmonton Elks. Christian Salisbury is a 2-time guest of the show. DeSoto County native like yourself. How well did you know him, and just how much does it hurt to see, man, a young man with such promise and such passion for the game have his life taken so early?
So me and Chris, we actually go back way back. I met his family growing up at DC middle school. His mom, they lived over there in South Haven. His sister was in my class. So when they came over to DC, his sister was in my class. I want to say she was a cheerleader for a little bit, but Chris was in the sport. She was always around. And so we we got this close bond because my mom was one of the sports moms too, you know what I'm saying? So they was always around the school, working together. We went to, church and stuff like that. And it's crazy, as I'm transitioning out of high school and stuff like that, my later years in at LSU, me and Chris were closer just because, I was one of the guys that went somewhere in football, and I noticed what he wanted to do. And so we grew a relationship based off of that, just because, shoot, I know a good athlete when I see one. Despite his size, Chris was a hell of an athlete. He was one of the best teams. One of the best kids in that school. You know what I'm saying? Just like off his heart alone. And so, seeing him go through his struggles after high school, not necessarily having a college offers, you know what I'm saying, or scholarship and this and that, having to go a JUCO D2 route, having to go the alternative route. It was interesting to see because I believed in him, and at times he didn't believe in himself. You know what I'm saying? I know I have the conversation still saved on my phone. He was texting me and telling me, yo, like, I don't know if this is what I want to do, man. I'm just like, I'm not really seeing this and that. And I was like, man, just keep grinding, bro. It's like you are so close. You are knocking on the door. All you have to do, and it's what a lot of guys like fail to realize. All you have to do is keep going. Just keep going. Just keep knocking away, and you're gonna get an opportunity.
Well, when you want to know an interesting story, Jalen, that we actually haven't talked about, the three of us, and really Daniel, because he's a Cowboys fan. When we talk about like the work that you put in, when he signed his fan-controlled football contract, was his first episode. His second episode, Daniel, do you happen to remember who interrupted our interview and walked in his room? It was Kavontae Turpin, who is now the returner for the Cowboys, who was in the fan-controlled football.
Right,
so it shows that if you keep grinding, you obviously see where Turpin's at now.
Absolutely. And so, like, around that time, I kind of want to say I was finishing up at LSU. Chris had came down there to camp, and I was actually working at camp. And I remember we took a picture because he kind of surprised me. I didn't know he was coming down there. He hit me probably like earlier in the day or the night before, something like that. But I saw him out there, and he was working. And, of course, he was doing his thing, but it's just like he wasn't getting who is that kid? Because he was this big, but he was still, holding his own against, all of these players that they're supposed to be looking at. This, you know what I'm saying? So he was out there doing his thing, and then so fast forward to, he got the fan control football, and I love seeing that. I always love seeing, different twists on football and just guys getting the opportunity to play beyond college or professionally. So seeing that, and then when I went up to the CFL and when I was in Toronto, I think, after my first year in Toronto, he was, I want to say he was like working out with the Elks. Or he was at the camp. And so I remember he was out there. I was in camp, and, I was just texting him back and forth every now and then, just, like, hey, bro, keep grinding out there. Good luck, all this and that. And, because we were all busy, days full and stuff like that. And then so we get to the end of the camp, and I end up getting traded to Edmonton. And he was back at home. And I had talked to him a few times. And then when I had finally came back home, when I got released, I want to say I got home, and that night he came over to my crib, and we hung out for a few hours, probably like 3-4 hours, just hanging out the back of the crib. And, he said he was talking about his time out there in camp and this and that. And then I want to say that next morning we was talking, kind of had some conversations about football and what he wanted to do. And he had, he thought he was going to have a shot in Edmonton during the camp. They liked him, this and that. But, the business side or this and that, numbers, blah, blah, whatever, the excuses that they give guys. But they wanted to give him a shot. He said he might be bringing him back. And so I hung out with him that night. That next morning I got back. He hit my phone and said, hey, so-and-so just called me. They want me to come back. And I was so ecstatic to hear that. And I'm like, yo, he finna get his shot. And so he was out there for a few weeks. And then he got out there and he started making plays in the game. And I'm just like, bro, it's literally finally happening. He's finally getting his opportunity to show what he can do, what he's been wanting to do this whole time. Is just show the the player that he was and how electric he could be. And I really love seeing that. And then when he came back at the end of the season, I want to say it was the day or the day after he had got back, he came over, we kicked it, we chopped it up for a few hours, like this, same old thing, was just hanging, talking about the team and this and that, how he enjoyed it. And just, since he had been back, I was like, bro, all right, cool. Because I had been home for a little while. I was like, all right, get up with me, you know what I'm saying? Once you get your feet back under you, I know it's a long season, this and that. And, let's hit the field, this and that. And I guess he was home for a few more weeks. And it was, coming up on Christmas, man. and it was probably a week after his birthday. And, you know, I got the news from one of my older brothers that coaches in Mississippi. He's coached throughout. He's at Mississippi Valley State right now. But he called me with the news, man, and I was just in shock. Like, there's no way that this is like what's going on. I had literally just talked to him a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, to hear the news and then to follow up, you know, the few weeks after that, the few days after that, and just, you know, just have kind of reality set in. It really sucks, man. For real. Just because, you know, there's not a lot of stories where guys, you know, like don't get a shot that are, you know, that small. They work that hard. You know what I'm saying? It's not a lot of times that, you know, those people work that hard and actually get that shot. I feel like a lot of guys at some point they gonna, you know, all right, call it quits. You know, all right, this was cool, but I gotta do something else. And so, you know, to finally get it and, you know, see it to fruition and just get a little taste and then have it all taken away like that. It was really hard to see, for real. Just because I know personally how hard he worked, and I know that he was at that moment where he was like, I don't know if I really want to do this anymore. And he kept going, and I saw him get it. So it really hurt because I really wish I could, you know, still see him out there living out his dreams.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that, you know, it's never an easy thing, but I think you can pillow your head at night knowing that the guy went out working as hard as he possibly could, and it was right there. It was just
Absolutely.
Earned it. But Jalen, before we let you bounce, man, we got to play a game. It's called This or That.
You said it's called what?
This or That.
Okay. Yeah, I like
very
this.
simple.
I like it.
Give you two options. You choose one option or the other. Can't say both, can't say neither. Just pick whichever one speaks to you.
Okay.
All right, easy question. Bacon or sausage?
Bacon.
Sure, yeah. Bacon, egg, and cheese, you know.
Absolutely.
Love it. What team, when you were at LSU, which team did you dislike more? Alabama or Florida?
Alabama. Easy.
Really? It's just that easy? Was it just because of them and Saban and just the wins, or was it?
Nah, I feel like it was the fact that they were our best competition. Like, you know, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, they hate each other. It's like in state, like, okay, cool, that's cute and all, but like we hate each other because we the best. So I guess that's what that was.
Are you a plan ahead guy or are you a live in the moment guy?
Oh, in the moment, for sure. In the moment.
What environment is harder to play? Tuscaloosa in college or the Superdome in the NFL?
Shit, the Superdome. The Superdome for sure. I like, as far as stadiums go in SEC, Bama's got a big stadium. It's nice, but it don't be like that in there. The atmosphere does not be like that. It really don't. The Bama fans, when I was there, it was like they didn't even care anymore. They knew they was gonna win. Blah blah.
It's still like that,
right? They don't be into the game. So.
It ain't like a New Orleans crowd that's been drinking for hours on end.
Absolutely not. And don't let like when I was there playing in Atlanta, the New Orleans teams, they weren't really good. So it wasn't really like any crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like the teams weren't going crazy. They wasn't making it to the playoffs and having playoff runs and stuff like that. So the team,
Let's talk more about that. Since Jim's
that's blasphemy. That's like the only couple years we weren't good, man.
Let's talk 2018.
Oh, I'm dead.
And as long as we don't bring up the Marshawn Lynch game, we can. Well, I'll live. And that in the New Orleans no call, we'll be all right.
I was about
Taste
to say,
the rainbow.
Oh man, that's tough. That's
Jalen,
tough.
Jalen, if you were left on an island and you could pick to be by yourself or with your worst enemy, which would you choose?
Damn. By myself or my worst enemy? I would probably have to pick my worst enemy. Just because I'm like a competitor, so I know if I'm on this island by myself, I'm gonna be chilling. Like I'm not really, but if he on the island too, I'm gonna be my best self, you know what I'm saying? Because I gotta outdo whoever, you know what I'm saying?
I got you.
That might be the best answer we've had to that question, Daniel.
But look, listen, I can't have him on the island and his shit better than mine. I gotta have the 5-star hut, palm trees. Ain't gonna be no Wilson. It's gonna be Wanda, you know what I'm saying? And like a whole, you feel me? Like, come on now. I gotta get right.
I got you. If he had 3 coconuts, you're gonna have 5 for sure.
I'm gonna have 12. Come on now.
Right. Would you rather own a private jet or a massive yacht?
A jet. We don't play with the ocean. The ocean is scary.
What do you mean? What do you mean when you say we don't play with the ocean? What is that?
Humans, we shouldn't play with the ocean.
I agree. I just got back from the beach, and every time my kids started going out into the water, I'm like, well, all right, y'all ain't never fucking watched Jaws, I guess.
Hey, I was at the beach what was it, a week and a half ago for a little bachelor trip. We was in St. Pete. And my boy, we used to go, we would go out there at night, you know what I'm saying? Because it's chill out there, the weather's cool, just listen to the waves. He would go out in the water. I'm like,
hell no.
You really bugging. He out there floating. I'm like, nah, they snatch your ass up. I can't even call the police because you're gonna be dead by then.
Would you rather spend an hour in a walk-in freezer or 2 hours in a sauna?
Damn. Sauna. I'm bringing water.
Got to. 2 hours.
If I'm in the freezer, there's a chance that I might lose some of my appendages. You know what I'm saying? They might freeze off.
All right. So in the sauna, you get to keep everything. You get a little water.
I'll be dehydrated. It's okay. I'll be dehydrated. I ain't gonna lose no toes or nothing like that.
True. All right. Last question, Jalen. Would you rather win $1 million, but you can't spend it on yourself? You can only spend it on other people, or would you rather be given $100,000 and you can only spend it on yourself? So $1 million, only spend it on other people.
Right.
100K, only spend it on yourself.
I'm taking $1 million for sure. We about to have a time. You feel me?
The thing is, him and Austin are the
they
two guys.
They've been paid millions.
A lot of these guys that we asked this ain't ever had $1 million to say that answer to.
Well, see, I'll take it like this. You get 100K, that's gonna be gone really fast. And 100K for yourself, I mean, I guess that's cool, but if you got $1 million, you know how many trips you can go on with your homies? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how many fun nights you can have out in Vegas or out of the country, or you know what I'm saying? Y'all could do whatever. You could buy the gang cars, and you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you probably didn't get a car, but like everybody else got one.
Jalen, you said you was in Vegas, right? Do you gamble? Like you get on the cars?
No, I mean, I'm not really a gambler. I'm really like a try the food type of guy, you know.
How fast do you think how fast you think you go through $100 grand in Vegas though?
Oh, in Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh, it'd probably be like a day.
I agree.
Like what?
There's a lot to get into.
Maybe less than that.
If the table stakes are right, probably about 10 minutes.
Well, since I could go to Vegas.
Go ahead.
Spend $100 grand, and I would not even gamble, not one time.
Well, since I gamble and I've been to Vegas 7 times and I've won 6 or 7, I'm coming out with more money. So, boom.
I don't care about that. Gambling is not fun to me. But you know what is fun? The people watching and all the activities you can do in Vegas. Especially, I spent about 6-7 years as a single guy, and I went to Vegas a lot. Shit. Old Vegas is where it's at, man.
I hear you.
All right, Jalen, man, we're gonna let you bounce, but before you get out of here, man, anything you want to plug or promote?
Plug and promote, really just the pod, man. Everybody tap into the Raw Room. Sports.
And that shirt
Sports
is
podcast.
as tight as it gets.
Me and Darren. I got another one right here. This is a new design right here.
It's exclusive.
New design right here. This kind of wrinkled. This is the front of the tee right here. Got a little logo. But yeah, man, the Raw Room on YouTube. We about to hit 200K subscribers. Hopefully we've hit it. I think we were like 17 away not too long ago. But yeah, man,
I think you're there, man. I think
y'all go check us out in no, close that. Sorry, I'm trying to. All right, yeah. I'll go check us out, man. Show us some love.
I thought that was Daniel messing with his soundboard, Randy. I was like, what's he doing?
I pulled up YouTube and had a video playing. My bad.
I got the cheap YouTube. I have the ads.
Oh, I got the ads too. I ain't paying for that. Come on now. Come on. All
right, Jalen, man. If anybody wants to look you up, man, IG JCar_32, Twitter JCar_11, and everybody head on over to YouTube at Raw_Room. And while you're at it, check out at In Off the Bench. You'll see Jalen up there tonight. We'll get him posted. We'll get it edited. We'll get it all out there. The content will be there. Jalen, man, we wish you nothing but the best, dude. Thanks for
I appreciate you guys having me. It's been a great time. I don't necessarily talk about my story a lot, but I appreciate y'all, bringing up some things that I hadn't talked about before. And it's nice reminiscing. I appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. That's Jalen Collins, everybody. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got to talk headlines from this past week.